are back again for another live stream, and I'm just playing one sound, and you hear all kind of things in the background, but this is essentially one sound in Blue 3 from the tempo-based bank. It's called Raouf Raktubasi Move. Very long name. So this one is tempo-based, and that's in the tempo-based preset bank. And of course, with this bank, it's very important that you play good on time. I don't have a sequencer now playing next to it. So if I would have then, let's say, a bass drum next to it, I really need to play very precise. Otherwise, it goes out of the out of sync with the repeating things. And yeah, you can see already some new things inside Blue 3, which we will have very soon, is that the envelope shows the movement. Well, not as a dot, but it shows where it is, the stage where it is. So if I play again this sound, you see the filter envelope. It's now in the decay stage. And now the sustain stage. And when I let go, then it's the release stage. So that shows it. Instead of a dial, because or a dot, because the dot will move so fast in some cases that it is. So this is a new idea by John, which I think it's very interesting. And also, if you make the envelope negative, which you can do here, for instance, in the filter 1, if the envelope amount, if it goes negative, it switches the envelope also graphically. So also you will understand that when you have a negative envelope, that the so let's give it a little attack, that the attack becomes a kind of decay. Then you have the decay becomes a kind of attack. And you see, it's a totally different story than compared if you have it like this, like in regular. So I click up here originally. So then we have the original sound again. Let's play it now with a beat, and then you see I need to play very precise. So you hear a little bit of drifting because my timing is a little bit off, but what you can do if you have a tempo-based sound, you can quantize afterwards. So if I were to record this, let's try it. So I would quantize it, and then you would hear. Then the timing is right. So this is one of the tempo-based presets. So I'm checking the chat room. Everybody, welcome. Gert, I see Hannes, Hagebuch, Barking Fish Tunes. Good evening, everybody. I hope you have a good time. And yeah, we are back again with another live stream. I have some news, of course, about Blue 3. We are, or maybe you did read the newsletter. We are a little bit behind in work because the tagging takes so much time. Picture that you have over 4,000 presets, and of course we can have, let's say, all kind of things automated. So for instance, if you see this preset and you go to set category, you see it's tempo synced, it's live, it's a polyphonic sound, which is a polymode, so that's something we can do automated. But then of course, is it a synth sound, is it a soundscape, and you get, is it a dark sound, or has a lot of effects? Does the modulation wheel changes things? So these are things which of course needs to be addressed, and lots was okay, but we need to check every preset. So that's a lot of work on our side, and then we can convert to Anchor S and have it Anchor S compatible. So this was the bass, but there's another nice preset in the tempo-based. So if I go to preset manager, I give it a star. So this one was cool. Retrigger envelopes. Yeah, that's essentially the tempo-based ones is very often re-triggering of envelope. So if you see envelope 1 is active, and you see the amount is open, so it controls the volume of oscillator 1. And here you see the re-triggering, and that one is set to half a bar. So if you look up there, the re-triggering and the readout is half a bar. And then you can also say an amount of re-triggers, but this one is not selected, so it's essentially endless. So it's so if I go to oscillator 1, by the way, you can put it solo. If you use the right mouse button over the oscillator number, you can solo oscillator. So this one is doing this. And then I can unsolo. So this is oscillator 1, oscillator 2 does this. And you see the oscillator 2 here has a different re-trigger. And then you have oscillator 3. That doesn't have a re-trigger, so that's simply playing normal. And then we have this one. This is a sample of a vocal sound. And you see this one is oscillator 4. There's also a re-trigger on 8th note. So everything together, you get a... But of course, you need to play on time. So if I would play the beat. So what you could do is quantize it to keep it straight, because your timing is not natural, not as precise as the sequence part inside of it. So this is the tempo-based bank, which has some very... So if you would combine that one with a little beat. Okay, 1 second. Some weird sounds going on. All kind of weird things inside, and mostly they are very nice if you play them solo as a kind of sound effect in your maybe music for games or whatever. So step. So we are tagging currently the whole range of banks. Yeah, you mentioned that the bass was very nice, which was this one. We have, of course, in the analog basses also very similar ones. So what we're doing is tagging these presets. That's the current work, and then we will convert it to NCAS. I'm checking the chat room. Hey, Ryan also there. Cool. Ryan does some cool stuff with his piano compositions and also this new keyboard. I saw some videos, Ryan, which were very cool with the expression keyboard. I have this Rolly keyboard, which has these rubber things, but you need to adapt in times of playing. Of course, this would be cool if you would have doing the vibrato by just moving around your key. That's one of the coolest thing I saw on this thing. So if you would have a lead sound, so let's go to lead. Where are the lead sounds here? Let me see if I have a nice one. No. I need now I'm doing it with the pitch bend. But that you could do then on the keyboard itself. So you could have a very, very natural vibrato, which is done like on a guitar. So now doing with the pitch. So that's the pitch bend doing it. Stevie lead. So. So yeah, and that's cool. So essentially, I think some synths that have that in the past. I think the Core Sigma had also kind of thing where you could have a kind of vibrato below the keyboard. They had a kind of a bar which you could use, and of course the CS80 had a kind of aftertouch thing. So with lead sound, that will be very cool. And of course, multi-MPE, a multi-polyphonic expression is also covered by Blue 3, by the way. Oh, that's the wrong button. So if you go to, let's go to the pads. This one. So if you would go then to the play mode here, you could use poly multi MPE. That means that if you have such a keyboard and then you do a pitch bend by using the keyboard like the Rolly keyboard, then only this note would have pitch bend, or only that note would change the filter setting. But you need, of course, a keyboard which sends out at MPE mode. And so this is in Blue 3. It's also available. So for people who want to use that, there was one good suggestion which one person had. He said, well, if you only want to use MPE on Blue 3, that would be nice if you could lock this play mode. So that's something we are looking into. Having the poly MPE locked so you can go from one preset to another and then use that in playing Blue 3. So what's also new? Yeah, we will have then the animated dials, animated envelope, sorry. So here we see the, let's see if we have here the volume envelope, attack stage, sustain. Then when you let go, then you see then the release stage work. So it shows the stage where it is. Yeah, another bank which is very cool is the cluster bank. So I was tagging the presets and then I ran into the cluster bank, and that one uses the chord memory. Now I had no, let me see, just play one. So here you see it has the chord modes here. So if you go here, you see it's a little dot, so chord is active, and here you can see what is happening. Yeah, essentially, when I hit one note, it plays for you the other notes. And here is the detuning of it. So I could also say make 4 of them, and then of course, you need to keep in mind that it uses more voices, because instead you play one note, but essentially the engine plays the other notes for you. So if I would go here to off, then you would have again. But this is cool for making kind of things which you... So the chord is a kind of character of the whole sound. This is a major... Wow, that's gone suddenly. You might think this one is maybe samples, but it's not. It's using the vowel filter or vocal filter and simply has a square and sawtooth basic waveform. Okay, but I'm looking if I can. So also here 3 notes are used. So if the chord is active, you always see a little dot appearing here. And then here you can see also the play mode has 3 notes, chord mode. And strum time you can control here, but also on this side. You can make some weird textures. So this one is also as a cluster, but the next preset, you see the cluster has a little bit of strum time, 4 notes, but then the next preset is with a different strum time, which is then it's like this. And you can even make a tempo sync. So if you would play a beat. So that's the chord memory. So the cluster bank is all presets use the chord memory. And then what we did, because in the old synthesizers you also had this chord memory, but then you put on your old analog machine, you put on memory, and you could memorize one chord you played. But when you put off the synth, the whole thing was gone. And of course now in the age of virtual synthesizers, you can store it inside your preset, and we added of course the cool features like that you can create with until 8 notes your chord setup. You can have each note a different velocity. You can change the panning of it, so that's also possible to change now the panning. So then you get something like this. So this bank, really, you should play it. Go to the 10 clusters 0 run bank. It has some very nice. So I'm just picking some of them. So yeah, that's what we are doing. So Blue 3, hopefully very soon we have anyhow an update for the things with these little envelopes, what you see, so that they are showing the movement. So here you see if the movement, this is the volume envelope. You see attack, decay, sustain, release. Attack stage is playing now. It goes over to sustain. And when I let go, it is the release stage. Okay. Oops, I was in the chat room. Yeah, that's the Osmos. Yeah, that's the special keyboard. It was very, very nice. And what I like, especially what I saw, is that you can do this manual vibrato. Yeah, so we are tagging digital basses, analog basses. Of course, Blue 3 has many things which we used in BIT. So the although Blue 3 already sounded very analog for its analog sound, because, for instance, the band Rush used on their live tour Blue 2 for doing some analog style of basses. So that's very nice. Prophet 600 bass. That one is very low. Then you got the legato. That's cool for grooves. So if you play this click, and if you play legato, the fast envelope click is gone. Yeah. Slap in your face. Yeah, and of course, its digital basis is, of course, of the FM synthesis. So that's also... Ah, that's an ugly one. That's very ugly. So this one, we would say maybe that there's a sample, but this one uses really FM synthesis. A lot of chords, so 3 and 4 and 5. 3 modulates 5 and 4 modulates 5, and they modulate again 6. So this is a typical FM synthesis sound. And that cool thing is that you can combine together, although I don't have yet a... Let me see. Now this is also again FM. Very expressive. So yeah, tagging all the presets, and you see there are a lot of them. If you go down, by the way, this is the 200M acid bank, which is by Centorial DE, which is a few weeks ago. I shared this in the live stream, so you can check it out. Centorial.de, there we will find it. Some very cool sounds. These are, of course, are not in the factory sound set, but we also have the effects bank, which is at the very end. But of course, yeah, people maybe think, okay, there's so many sounds, but here the effect sounds are in the category 19. That come. It's nice for... This is the big gong in my studio, which I sampled. And this one is cool for making also synth sounds, but here it is as an effect sounds. Korg MS-20 sounds. So very good. Troll flute or ugly. We even have spam, which is of course a lot of data. So yeah, pick the banks, go through it. We even have hip hop R&B, which I still need to tag. Brassy sounds, organ, cheesy sounds. That's a nice one. There's a little edge down to it. This one is a 2 oscillator, so the second sinus simply adds this little overtone. And if you go wrong here, gone is the cool sound. So that's the typical thing with FM synthesis. You need to be very careful with the tuning and the volume of the modulating oscillator. So the oscillator 5 modulates 6, and if you go wrong, the sound is gone. So it was this originally. So typically FM sound, which is this as well, of course, which is also FM. So if I put down you have only the sinus. So this one, and it adds. So this 2 and 3 make this little ting. using FM synthesis, and the other ones are more for the body, and then you get this FM type of E-piano. So my sustain pedal is gone. Where are you? Of course, these sounds are very well and already very well covered also with other synths, but it's still fun to create them. Yeah, pads, they are already done, by the way. And pads 4 we are. Let me see here, this. This one is called Emulator and GP pad. Yeah, emulator everybody knows, of course. And this is, of course, not an emulator sample, because this is a sample which I sampled here in my studio with a vocal group, 6 men they were. And if you go to oscillator 3, there it is. It doesn't have an envelope, so I need to... This is 2-2, chord 2-2, which means it has a little different attack compared to the 2-1. So these are, and then I changed, so this is a sample, the same sample, but what we did internally, change the start point so that you can use this sample, a collection of 2 sound, also in another setup. And of course, then it has a slow attack. And then you got this feel of a, emulator, that's how I call it, but it's of course not an emulator sample, but it's the feel. And then oscillator 2 and 1 have the Jupiter type of... And then you combine it together, and then you get that whole story about Blue, combining things together. That's why I call it cross-fusion synthesis. Blue 3 is really a monster pad machine. Okay, I'm checking the chat room, so I'm just playing around, and as mentioned, we're working on Blue 3, doing the Anchor S preparation, which takes far more time because we have all the presets have to be tagged, and then we can convert it. They are already tagged, so if you go to banks already, they have their tagging, but everything needs to be checked and improved. So the tagging, so Synbank Sound 2, I did not tag yet. So most likely this one has a good tagging. Plug sound, yeah. Yes, but this one. That one, you see, it has a partial tagging, but what it misses is, for instance, that is an analog timbre, that the modulation wheel, let's see. Yeah, that one changes, so I need to apply it. So that's what I'm currently doing together also with Tonal Axis. Every preset we need to check. Then we also can tackle some problems which sometimes happened. For instance, if the volume was a little bit too hard in one particular preset, we also take it down. So that's the process we are doing. And in the meantime, we also have then an update for you in terms of the graphic envelopes. It shows now that it's on the sustain stage, and if I let go the node, you see, then this one becomes orange. And it flips down. So if you have a negative envelope, for instance in the filter, here, I can go to negative envelope, then it flips. Oh no, that's the velocity, sorry. Where's the envelope? Here it is. Yep, and there. Then you see it has a totally different so let's see attack. So it goes very fast. So that's a negative envelope, of course. You see also the icon switches here, the envelope switch, its image. So that's a negative envelope. So it's very nice if it's also visible negative. Then you understand what happens with the sound. So if I, for instance, if I go to a default preset, and this is for every synthesizer which has a negative envelope. So if I go to a default preset, and use, for instance, the saw, and I take an envelope, I take its own envelope, oscillator 1, I put the one on the pitch, semi-pitch, and I go the amount of 10, octave, 12 semi. So this is the envelope amount. So now sustain, I could have a slow attack. So you really see how attack stage, 100% decay stage, then it goes to sustain, and then when I let go of the node, the release acts. So release is always if you release the node, therefore it's called release, then the release stage will work. But if I flip this one now in negative, okay, let me see if I can do this by the modulation matrix, because then I'll need to go to -12, but that of course it will not show. No, because it doesn't know that it's flipped. That's only possible, Rob, with the filter envelope, because there it's displayed. So I need to change that here and pick the filter envelope. Because with the volume envelope, we don't have a negative envelope in the oscillator itself. So the oscillator 1 always displays it this way, because it could be used also for the volume. And even if it's then negative in the modulation matrix, you cannot display it here negative, because on the volume, it still could be positive. So I need to go to the filter envelope again, because there I can switch it. Because then I can say negative, and then here we have it. Filter. So I see here we still have a little bug, because the decay, you hear the decay going down. Let's increase it a little bit, but you don't see the graphic. So this I need to write down, that with the new envelopes, if you have a negative envelope, it doesn't draw it. Only the release. So that's the release. So it goes down. Very long. And now it goes up. That's the decay stage. There's still the attack phase. Now it goes up. Oh, there it is. Sustain. it draws it, but I was too fast. So it's not a bug, it draws it, but I have the attack so long. Let's do it this way. So decay, sustain, release. It doesn't draw the attack, but you see, this is the negative amount. So that's a negative envelope. If you would go positive, then I need to go this one also. Positive. Yeah, here it also doesn't draw the attack. So that's a little bug. But then you decay, stay, sustain, and release. So that's not an interesting sound, but it shows what is interesting with an envelope is that if you put this on a pitch, you really hear what the envelope does. So it goes down to the sustain, stays there, and goes down in release stage. And then, of course, if the envelope is on a volume, it does the same to the volume, or if it's addressed to a filter, it addresses this movement to a filter. So it depends on where you put the envelope on, what the end result is, but the working of the envelope is always the same. So it goes, in this case, I addressed it on the pitch, it goes from 0 to up. Once it has its max stage, it gets in the decay stage, which will light up in a second. This is a very long. Decay stage, sustain, and release. So then you see how an envelope works. But of course, maybe a bit too technical. And it's not a fine sound, of course. And you see, if you have a plain or a waveform, it's not exciting. You need to address everything to it to get a cool sound. That's a guitar sound. Yeah, it would be a good ringtone to wake up. This is the string model. I combined that one with this Mua sound set. Even could, on top of that, you can even do some more. Let's see if I can do. So combining now almost 6 oscillators, but sample special, Fox FX. And now this first oscillator is irritating, but that's the cool thing about each oscillator has its own envelope. If you think, oh, the basic start of this sound is good, but you can use then the oscillator, and then you open the amount here, which is now open, and then you put it 1 octave higher. So now you see the envelopes are very important. So this is an arpeggiator sound, and just playing around with it. So that was in my personal folder, I see here. This is a very, oh yeah, that's what some weeks ago we talked about sounds which are solo, not that interesting, but in a musical context that they can work very well. And this was the called Alaska Sweep. I'm not sure if it's in the, most likely it's not in the factory set, but picture that you have a beat, and then you use this sound, that could be. So then it can have its musical meaning, because sometimes sounds are maybe a bit over the top, especially if you go to these. Let's see what we had, the tempo-based sounds. Okay, let me take one here, just pick one. Now, what you can do is simply shut down. For instance, you think, oh, this is cool, but it's too much for in your music. Maybe you're doing a track for a game or whatever. And then you can say, okay, I only use this one. Or even this. So that's cool with Blue 3. And what you also can do, if you have a preset, sometimes simply shut down one of the oscillators, and sometimes you run into a very nice sound, because less is more also in music, of course. So this would be, for instance, very nice, and the original sound, which was this one, was maybe too much over the top. So, and then this is the added version. So that's also what you can do with the Blue 3 presets. They are a starting point. One of the examples I very often give is with this sound, which was originally a Jamal sound, which has a very nice tone to it. Let me see if I can find it. Which was originally, because that's also here, the introduction bank of the original Blue 2 is also here. At the very end, in the bank manager, you can find it here. Which one was it again? Okay, now it's alphabetical, so that makes it a bit harder for me. So I go to Blue 2 and look at the name, introduction, Cyrus Jomal. That was the original one. So we have it here. Here it is. Oh, wrong. Here it is again. And the only thing what I did then at that time was shutting down some of the oscillators, I think. And then I had only oscillator 2, and then you had some fabulous ambient flute. So that's the cool thing about Blue 3. So that's what you can do. So without going deep into editing, simply put things off. In the introduction bank, we have this one, which is a sweep. So I'm just taking this one. And then I shut down this one and only the Solina strings. That's too thin. But you never know in a music track. So let's take another one. That's a nice lead sound. So I shut down 6 and 4. And you got a nice bottle sound. Or you say 4 and 6 and shut down. You got a kind of mellow guitar sound. So that's what you can do with Blue 3. So not only play presets, but also go up here, shut down some oscillators, put them on or off, and then, yeah, you very often discover a very nice, interesting sound. Okay, so yeah, what's the other news? So yeah, Blue 3, we will hope very soon to have the NKS. It will be most likely at the beginning of March, because I still need some more days in checking all the taggings, and then we send it in to Native Instruments. They will check if everything is okay, and then we release it. Most likely then we also will have some new presets, hopefully for Blue 3, so that will be a very nice release. Of course, we're also very busy with BIT. Version 2, the graphics are getting very, very cool. It's going to have some very special features in the sequencer. There will make quite some difference compared to our other synthesizer. In our package, of course, we have the arpeggiator in Blue 3, we have the sequencer in Blue 3, but a bit BIT will have something special again, so that's cool. Okay, so let's check the chat room. Maybe somebody has a question. Just let me know. Can you turn off the labels on the mouse covers in Blue 3? Can you turn off the labels on the mouse overs? Oh yeah, the mouse overs. Yes. Oh no. And this, you mean the tool tips? These are tool tips. So if you see that shows the value, these are tool tips. People which have a bad eyesight are very happy with that we have these. If you go in the control menu, you have graphics, and there you can put all these things. You can have the dial animation, you can shut off. The 3D wave animation, which is in the lower section, you can put off, and tooltips you can shut off. So if I shut it off now, they should be now off. And this is also in your version. So, oh, no, it appears still. Okay, maybe it does it only if you reload the Blue 3. That could well be the case, that you need to reload. Yeah. So I put it on. I think it's handy, but that should be able to turn it off. Bit 2 has more filter types. Yes, it has more filter types also. We will have in the amp section some additional distortion modes. So still, it will be very classic virtual analog machine. So it's not a replica or a Mini Moog or Jupiter. So what I did is take them as inspiration, but then also have some cool features which are from this age. And so that's it will have animated dials. So if a dial is animated or parameter is modulated, you will see the a dial ring moving around. And of course, you can shut that down as well. Okay. Let's go to the manager again. Well, maybe I'll put some. This is sequencer sound. They are all tagged now. oscillators. Sequencer. So let me give you another tip. So if you maybe have this sound and you think, okay, this one is cool, you still can change here from waveform. And then maybe you play it in a song. Let me see. So I give you another tip in what you can do yourself using Blue 3 instead of going from one preset to another preset. So it's, for instance, if you have this one, okay, and let me shoot that as a bass. So if you think, okay, this is getting me too boring, I want to have more variation in the melody, which is the sequencer is playing, there's one little trick what you can do is simply here, go to Command, and you say, copy steps 116 to 1732. Yes, that's done, but of course I need to have it here, start and end also on step 32. And then you see it has the copy of the 1 until 16 down here as well. And then you can say, okay, let's hear some differences, and let's see what happens. Because if you copy step 116 to step 1732, it's the same, but then it's easier to make a variation instead of going right away to 32 steps and do everything in this section from start. Now you also hear some weird things, which is the wave. So oscillator 1 changes from waveform. So if I go here, this is oscillator 1. You see sine square frame, that is the basic waveform, but in the view, edit view is wave. Then you see oscillator 1 here, all kind of little numbers, which means that it uses at that time a different waveform, and you can simply select everything you like. That noise is a little bit ugly, so I could use there something else. Hit a tabla. Hit. Well, if the step is having the value set, means that it uses the waveform which is selected in oscillator 1. So in oscillator 1 is sine square selected. So if I change that one, no, this is the current bank, which is that's somebody is asking. Is this no? It's the sequence sounds 1. So there's a lot of sequence sounds, wave sequencing. So this is the wave sequencing stuff. So this is the bank. So if you scroll down, sequencer sounds 1 and sequencer sounds 2, which has only one preset because I'm not sure how that happened, but I had one preset too much because we like to keep the banks until 128 in case of program change, and that you have, because essentially a bank could have over 200 presets, but then it's too much in one bank, in my opinion. So sequence sounds is this one. So here we have, in the new release, some more presets. So this is what you have, sequence sounds 01. These are the so 3 has, and also here you can do the okay, sorry. Here it is oscillator 2 who has the wave sequence. Here you see it oscillator 2. So this is the wave view, and then you have the tuning view, the tuning. So the tuning is also for the wave sequence sounds, of course. Here I can change. And oscillator 1 is simply doing a normal thing. But then maybe in your track, this is something cool you like to add somewhere. Instead of using it as a melody sequence. So that's the cool thing, which what I mentioned earlier with Blue 3, is that shut down the oscillator. If you have a cool preset and you think, okay, this is cool. Yeah, this is totally different. And then what I mentioned, if you think, oh, this sequence is cool, but it's gonna annoy you, because if you play too long, it's too much of a repeating thing. Then you simply say, okay, copy this to the other steps and increase the size here, and then you have a copy here, and then you shut down here some things, and simply make it a little bit different. So then it's a 32-step. Okay, so I'm playing around today with Blue 3. What also will be the case in the new update is that we have a certain range that could have a granular, but now also the other range can have granular. If you select a sample, it can have a granular thing. So a lot of cool things are ahead with Blue 3 in the very near future. Well, there's a last question I see from John. It's about the air section. The frequency dial is, that's right. The frequency dial is ridiculous high, but what it does essentially is that the bubble it creates, this makes that if it's so high that it makes very nice the frequency we can hear. So it's indeed a very strange thing, but it's because of the curve it has. So so even if it's out of the range, the bandwidth this filter has is then just in this area, this mid-high, so it has a very nice curve if you have this extreme high frequency. That's, in short, why it is so high. But it's a very good question, because you can think, why is this air having this high frequency setting? But that's because of the curve of the filter That's the if you put that so high, then in the audio section where we can hear the music, it adds this nice air to it. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope to see you back next week, guys. If you like the live stream, give it a thumbs up. And we have a playlist with all the live streams, but it's also the case now with YouTube that if you go to my channel, you have videos and live. So also there is already the live stream of all the live streams I did until now. Thanks for watching. And okay, yeah, there's one question still. Pops it from UK breaks. Well, the basses, I think most of our synthesizers are doing that very well. Subwoofer bass, of course, which has a lot of presets on its focus, but also Bluetooth and Predator 3. So just give it a try with the demo versions, and then they all have a very good, nice low end. But of course, with Subwoofer bass 2, the presets are very focused on the types of presets. But also, yeah, I would not skip Bluetooth 3 on that, especially with digital bass. It has a very, very nice deep end. So also try out Bluetooth 3 on that subject. So, okay, that was the last one. Guys, enjoy creating music, and see you next time.